gloomy ass Saturday, Southern Saturday. As you guys can see, the weather is not cooperating today. How do we go from sunny days to cloudy days? I have no idea. It's bipolar weather. We go from hot to cold to hot to cold. I don't know. I don't know what's up with the weather. Yesterday was sunny as fuck, but today, I don't know. Might be an omen sign for Canelo. But I decided to hop on, chop it up with individuals. See what the talk of the town is going down the word on the curve. You heard me. Let me just set this up. Now, for those who are curious, I did drop a new battle rap reaction on my other channel. If you guys want to scope that out, we got some Fuego tracks, new individuals to the battle rap, right? Individuals that I haven't reacted to their music, so we got that going on right there. Give it a shout. Oh, what's cracking like you, Mr. Pasas de Felipe in the casa? This weather's boring. Serio, homie. It gives you no type of energy. Bastard babies. Serio. Canelo will lose. You think so? Maybe. Who knows? Anything could happen in a boxing fight, so we'll see. Hopefully he wins. Depends who's he fighting. I think, isn't he fighting the Walmart greeter? Or a towel boy or some shit? I know when they get to a certain status, they only like to pick, fighters that are not, well known or up to par, right? Because they don't want to jeopardize their records, once they reach those heights, those sponsorships, financial move. So you already know how that is. That's the only thing I hate about boxing. The fact that they can pick and choose who they want to fight. Because, that leads to this kind of shit. Once they make it to the certain, heights, they kind of really don't want to ruin that, because, they're getting sponsorship and all the spotlights on them, right? So they tend to fight fighters who are not the best, you know what I mean? And then the ones that are on their level, they don't want to give them an opportunity because they might lose, And that's one of the problems that I feel like boxing has always had, because Mayweather at that point was, también, a lot of fighters actually, Rarely did you see a fighter like, a Tyson or Cesar Chavez who didn't give a fuck and will fight anybody, win or lose. Those days are over now. The sponsorships really killed that part of boxing, right? Because it's not in their financially, it's not in their best interest to fight a boxer who could potentially beat them, right? Because then they lose all of that, or they probably won't get as many people to come and try to, fuck with them. Gets me feeling like shit, even though I'm really not. I feel you, bro. Like there's no motivation to it, bro. It kills the mood, It really doesn't make people want to do much. Just like Mayweather lost his bag. But no, but see, he lost his bag because of his fucking spending shit. Like he doesn't know how to manage money, right? The way he likes to live, or not even live, let's just say, the way he likes to brag and floss and show off is the reason why he ends up in the fucking predicament he's in. You know what I mean? Because, bro, like, you can brag about as much money as you want that you have, right? But if you're spending it out there like that, bro, it's eventually going to run out. It's not infinite money. There's a difference from being a billionaire to being a millionaire, right? So your money is eventually going to start running out, especially if you're not doing much except just spending. Especially on shit that's irrelevant, bro. Like shit that you really don't need. Why the fuck do you need like 70 chains for, bro? That shit is crazy. Fuck, you need so many watches for? They have all these cars, but they only drive like 2 or 1. They have like 6 homes. Haven't been to like 5 of them in like fucking years. Fucking goofballs. I'm telling you, no más por no más, What's good, Shadow? What's crying like it, Derek? Mayweather stuck in Saudi Arabia. Is he stuck in? No, it's not. It wasn't Saudi Arabia. It was where was it at? Bolivia? No, but I know he was stuck somewhere though. If he wasn't paying he wasn't paying his debts. He wasn't paying the creditors. Who forgot? And you know, with him, it's not that he didn't have the money. It's just that he just doesn't prioritize, his bills, bro. You know, he's like he just forgets about them, bro. I'm telling you, because he's bad with money, bro. He's just bad with money. He needs to hire like a nah. But see, with those people, though, it's I can see why they're skeptical because a lot of those individuals have jacked a lot of people's money, right? They end up fucking look at Shohei Otani's camarada, right? Who was fucking spending his money. But so it does tend to happen, though. It's kind of hard when you're dealing with that amount of money. It's kind of hard finding someone that you can trust with that amount of money. Because money could make a lot of people's morals fly out the window. Because they're not used to seeing that amount, pues. And if they know that somebody's stupid, they're even tempted even more. Like, well, this fool's not the sharpest shed in the, it's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so maybe. What's cracking, like in Derek? You work today? Hey, your Wolves pulled it off, my boy. Your Wolves pulled it off, homie. They came through. Fucking LeBron, he let me down. I know people are blaming AR, but come on, man. The fool's a youngster. He's a young bug, bro. So with him, it's understandable why those bright lights, got the best of him, So I understand, it's really hard to keep your emotions on check when the lights are shining at its brightest, right? So, I can see why he got nervous. Why his game wasn't all that, sharpened up because, you know what I mean? When it's a regular game and regular season game, it's like whatever, you got your emotions on check. But when you know that everything's on the line, ooh man, it's hard to keep them emotions and energy on check. That's one thing when people criticize sports. Oh man, if I would have been able to do it, or why didn't he do it? Is they talk about the skills and they talk about this and that and their percentages and everything, but they leave the most important thing out, which is emotions. People's feelings when all eyes are on you, when the games are, important, with each shot you take, it could potentially be you won the game or you lost the game because of your fucking, how you're playing, right? And just feeling all of that, right? Just feeling all those emotions, bro. It's really hard to keep your shit on check, right? It's really hard to, stay focused and calm-minded, Fools start to do shit that they normally don't do because they start panicking. It's really hard to, keep yourself, composed under all that pressure. In anything, same with soccer, when it goes to penalties, they miss the kicks and fools are like, how the fuck did he miss that? Like, then you go and see all the fucking lights and eyes on you, bro. All eyes on you and see how you'll perform, That's a whole lot of things you have to take in, the mental of things, bro. That mental shit will fuck people up, bro. Some people are not, like Kobe and Michael that could stay calm in those situations, or Tom Brady. There's very few people that could function like that, bro, with everybody, all eyes on them, There's very few that could stay calm, bro. People get nervous, homie. Because they know what would come, all the backlash they're going to get if they fuck up. Like, pinche vato. That's why fools even pass up the opportunity. Like, nah. Like, who's going to take the last shot? We got 1 second left. Like, nah, not me. No, him. Not me, bro. Better pass it to somebody else. Because the internet is ruthless. One of the things that just blows my mind is that I don't know why people care so much about everybody's opinion, like the masses. Like, so who cares if they say it's because of you and use that? You know what I mean? Like, it ain't true, so what the fuck? It's like, why? I don't understand why people try to impress, people so much, bro. I don't get it. And the more I try to understand, is like the more questions I have, for people when they try to explain it. I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, but that doesn't make any sense, though. It's a trip. I was gonna mention I feel like Blue Devil is more tapped in with Chicano rap artists than Tony A because of being more involved than Tony. Maybe like a newer generation, maybe, right? Maybe because of that. But like maybe more with like the gangster or active individuals that rap, maybe in that sense, right? while Tony A is more, tapping with maybe like older individuals, right? Who are just about the music. And maybe that's why it feels like that. A he lost to the Russian. Who lost to the Russian? My baby's definitely up in the building. Love you, baby. Uh, we had horrible weather today, just like yesterday. Heavy rain, thunderstorm. All right, all right. Well, we must be getting the tail end of that because it's gloomy over here. It doesn't look like it's gonna rain, but it does look like gloomy as fuck, though. It's crazy how it's supposed to be spring. Yeah, just having horrible weather. Yeah, hey, man, it's crazy. You know. Well, at least it's not like Florida that is always having hurricanes. So at least the motherfuckers have like fucking hurricanes like it ain't no thing. It's almost common. It's almost weird not having one over there. Hello from Germany. Shout out to Germany. My boy Ryan lost yesterday. Charles. I know, I knew that was going to happen, bro. I knew he wasn't going to win. I knew he wasn't going to win. Just because of the way he's been acting, his prior, antics, and, the press conference, the gimmick, how gimmicky it was, right? I just knew that he wasn't focused, right? Like that cocky demeanor he has to him, like that just leads to sloppy fighters, bro. Cocky demeanors always lead to sloppy fighters, because they think that they're above their opponent, so they really don't take it like that serious. You know what I mean? And then they end up getting fucked up and knocked out. You know what I mean? It's a fight, bro. Anything could happen, bro. To think that your opponent is like way beneath you is fucking stupid. Always take the opposition at the same level as you because you don't know what they're capable of. You know what I mean? To think that you're above them is the quickest way to lose. You gotta put them in the equal rank as you, right? And always expect the unexpected. You gotta respect your opponents, bro. You gotta respect the opposition. The day you start lacking in the respect on the other side is the day that they catch you slipping. You know what I mean? That's how fools get lit up, bro. They start, they stop being aware of their surroundings and walking around like if they're the big dogs in the streets, bro. Like, ain't nobody gonna touch me, homie. We've been doing, and then that's how they get caught slipping. Or, man, the enemies are fucking pussies, bro. That fools ain't witty. Man, that fools, and then they get caught slipping and they get smoked, bro, because they thought like that, bro. They'll always be through shot. You don't know what them fools are capable of, bro. They might just roll up. Never think that you're salsa. That's not called paranoid or weak. That's called being trucha. It's a difference. But on the good side, my mom made some homemade burritos. That's right. Homemade tomatoes. Oh, that's the best, bro. That's when the salsa is homemade. Did you know, Toker, just like LeBron James when he got... He's not the only one. A lot of people dislike... I did not want LeBron James. I didn't want him. Don't get me wrong. LeBron James is one of the best players to ever play basketball. He's one of the greatest, to do it, right? But he comes with a lot of gimmicks, bro. He comes with a lot of flaws. Like, he cries a lot. He flops a lot. He doesn't take responsibility. He's not a true leader. He's just somebody who's just good, but he's not a leader like that, right? Because like I said, when it's time to now own up to your errors, he always likes to blame. There's always something, bro. He had an injury. It was because he didn't have enough help. It was because of the red. But he never takes accountability for his game, for his play. Even though, because with basketball, the numbers could be tricky sometimes, right? Like a person could have had 28 points, right? So it looks good, right? But, he shot, like 50 shots to get those, 28 points, and he missed more than half of them. So, even though he got 28, but it took a gang of shots and he missed most of them, so if anything, he was just hurting the team. You know what I mean? So a lot of those stats, they could, they could be tricky, right? It's never good to base your opinion on. So you got to watch the games and see how they play. And then you'll see what people are talking about, how he just likes to cry and flop and whine. You get what I mean? When he doesn't get his way. And like I said, when you grow up, being a fan of basketball and seeing the greatest of players, they never had to do none of that shit to win, bro. They never had to flop or be bitching to the refs all the damn time to get calls their way, right? They were confident in their skills. They knew that they could, they'll be able to do it, so they just shut up and played. You know, but LeBron, nah, bro. LeBron James needs all those calls to go his way in order to even barely pull off a victory. You know what I mean? And people be like, well, he accomplished a lot, so he's better than Jordan and everything. Like, look, bro, if Kobe and Jordan were the same size as LeBron James, I guarantee you they would have had even better careers. He's way bigger than them, yet he can't accomplish what they accomplished, bro. And that he's been playing longer. These fools didn't even play as long as him, and they accomplished more than him in their short time. Right? Got more rings than him, more defensive players, awards than him. So showing that it wasn't just offensive, that they were like people try to say that Kobe and Michael were ball hoggers, right? But yet they averaged, high assist counts, and they made all defensive, teams for many years, right? They were some of the best defenders. It's almost like they forget because they just remember their final years, right? But shit, in their prime, them fools were making defensive and all NBA teams. Both. LeBron James just makes all NBA. He don't make no defensive. He don't got no defense to him. That fool's horrible in defense, bro. People talk about Luka Doncic's defense. Fuck, LeBron James is worse, bro. That fool literally just stands there. Reminds me of James Harden. James Harden used to play like that too. She used to give me like, man, like why do they just stand around? Do you think it happens in sports where older players hate on younger? Yes, facts. The older generation of basketball players hate on the younger generation, right? They call the game soft, and to an extent, there's somewhat truth to it, right? But to say that that none of these players are as great as the ones from back then is stupid too, man. There's a lot of great players, that have came along the way, from the James Harden, Steph Curry's, Kevin Durant's, Devin Booker's, Luka Doncic, Mitchell, John Morant, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, Wembanyama, Giannis, Embiid. Those players were phenomenal. So to say that the NBA has, or Tatum, Brown, to say that the NBA is not producing like high quality players is stupid, bro. Look at Jokic, bro. That fool skills is legit, homie. I mean, don't get me wrong. If Alexander wins the MVP, he's been playing phenomenal. But I really do feel like it should go to Jokic. But I feel like since he's already won it so many times, right, and he's white, that's why a lot of people are hating. The reason why I bring color into it is because when a lot of these NBA podcasts that they do, right, a lot of these players have a problem with a white person being the face of the NBA, or a well, they don't say white, but they say a non-American, right? They say like these Europeans, these white chocolates, they call them white chocolates. So to me, it just sounds like because they're white, bro. That's why they're saying that Jokic and Luka Doncic can't be the face of the NBA. Right? They're like, it's gotta be Anthony Edwards or John Morant or Alexander. They gotta be the face of the NBA. And it's like, bro, you're saying that they had to be American, bro. Fucking Alexander's Canadian, my boy. So that already just shows me that you're just aiming for the black just because they're black, homie. And that to me is racist. You know what I mean? Well, that's how it's coming off. When Carmelo Anthony was saying that shit sounded racist, bro. It sounded like he had a problem with white NBA players. But people don't call him out on it because he's black. But nah, this is not about none of that shit, bro. It's about being right and being wrong and being racist. This is what he was. A lot of the shit he was saying would, if the shoe was on the other foot, bro, people would be shouting out racist shit. Like, oh, this was a racist and stuff. But since he's doing it to whites, that's the reason why people, ain't talking about it. Or Perkins when he said like, well, the ones that didn't deserve it, like the Steve Nash and the Luka Doncic and the Dirk Nowitzki's, all the white players, bro. I'm just like, oh, wow, that is crazy. He said out of all the lists, the ones that shouldn't have gotten the MVP, he picked all the white players. That shit is crazy, bro. I'm just like, if somebody would have done that, but the opposite, right, and just named the black players and just left the white ones, bro, people would have been like, this fool's a fucking racist. But since he's doing it the opposite way, bro, people aren't saying shit. And that to me is wrong. You know, that's haterism, bro, at its finest. Like, what? There's been a lot of white good players, bro. You're fucking stupid if you think that. To think that there can't be a white NBA player that could be the face of it is fucking stupid, bro. Telling you, there's a lot of people that think stupid, fool. Like, that shit is crazy. And it could be from either side. Like LeBron hating on Curry. Does LeBron hate on Curry? Maybe when they were facing each other, he lost the Triple G, but that's another story. He did lose to Triple G. He did. I myself said it. Uh, one of those was a tie, right? But yeah, he lost to Triple G. When they had said it was supposedly a tie, he lost that fight. You know what I mean? Gotta call it for what it is. The day when I was calling it, people were like, "Oh, you ain't a real Mexican. You don't stand by your people." And it's like, I hate when people do that. And it's like, bro, I stand for what's right. My fucking skin color or my ethnicity has nothing to do with my decision making, bro. I'm not gonna support somebody just because he's Mexican if he's wrong. If he's wrong, I'm gonna stand with what's right and what's true. I'm not gonna stand with him just because he's of my ethnicity. That's fucking stupid, bro. Facts is facts, homie. I stand with facts. I don't stand with bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you gotta support yours. Like, well, if I feel like this is what's more talented and what actually deserves the W, then I'm gonna give it to what I think deserves the W, bro. You know what I mean? And that has nothing to do with not being prideful or nothing like that. You know, that's being biased. You know what? Like I said, bro. Like, if we're giving honest opinions, we gotta keep it, honest and true. If you want to lie to yourself because it makes you feel better, then go right ahead. If you feel like that's what it means to be raza, not what it means to be raza. That's not what it means to stand by your people. You got to stand what makes your people better. And understand when you just came short. That doesn't make you less than. And like I said, there's always room for improvement, and it only makes you better. So I don't understand why people be bitching. From the Philippines, shout out to the Philippines. What are your thoughts on people who, whoopsie, what did I press? To help stepfathers for kids who aren't theirs biological kids. Do you agree with it? Would you ever do it? What do you mean, like somebody raising another man's kid, or what exactly do you mean? Do you think telling on the dead is snitching? Some people say it's not. What do you mean telling on the dead? Like, if somebody's dead, but you're telling on them, or how would that work? I dislike Tucker when he got. Yeah, it's cold shit. It's fucked up. But that's how the streets are, bro. If you play the game, everyone knows potentially, this could happen and this would be the outcome, right? So, I'm pretty sure he always had that in mind when he was, whatever happened. You know what I mean? Knowing the way he was, you know what I'm saying? He said you look ticklish. Ukraine mafia gangster. Ukraine, no, and go Ukraine. Oh no, yeah, there's gangs in Ukraine too. What are your thoughts on people starting gangs in the SNY yard like the 2-5ers and the Northern Riders? To me, that just doesn't make any sense. The reason it just doesn't make any sense is that the reason you end up in the other side, right? Normally individuals fall off, for whatever reason that they want to spin, right? Whatever narrative, right? But in all true reality is, the seat got too hot. They didn't want to own up to their decision. They didn't want to own up to what happened, right? So they start to want to blame other individuals, right? And they no longer want to participate. They no longer want to be a part of what this structure and what people have going on. They don't want a part of none of this. They don't want a part of none of the gangster shit, right? They didn't want to get gangster. Okay. So they get sent to the other side, right? And then now to want to start your own gang now and do your own and still be in the gangster shit, right? It's like I don't understand how individuals like that could trust each other, right? If it already has shown when the push came to shove and when shit hit the fans, they folded, right? So why would you now entrust the very same individuals that folded to remain solid on your side when they already have shown that they folded? You get what I mean? Like it just doesn't make any sense, bro. It's like if I know somebody who's been locked up, 100 times for stealing, right? For robbing people's money and stealing it and being a con artist, right? And now I'm gonna entrust that individual with my money. I hear my boy. I'm entrusting you with all my money, knowing damn well this fool has a record in fucking counterfeiting and stealing people's money. Why would I? You get what I mean? Like, why would I rely? Why would I put my trust in him? With my money, if his history has already shown this. It just wouldn't make any sense, bro. It just wouldn't, right? So to me, that just doesn't make any sense, bro. You're like, you know what I'm saying? It's like people want to play the gangster role, bro. You get me? They want to pretend that they gangster and shit like that, right? But without actually having to do none of the gangster things. You get what I'm saying? So they're hoping that they could facade, lie, and weasel their way around, right? To their credibility. But then when now, every dog has their day and now it's time to perform, you're going to see their true colors, bro. They weren't really gangster. They was never gangster. There's a lot of people that pretend. And yes, they'll get tattoos and everything, bro. Trust me, bro. People will go to great lengths to, facade. You know what I'm saying? And you can always tell who's facading, bro, by the way that they carry themselves. That's how you can tell a lot of the individuals on YouTube how they facades, bro. They just love to brag about themselves. They just love to talk about how gangster they is and everything they have done. They need that praise. It's what they want. They always wanted to be gangster, but they just didn't have it in them. It's crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.